Women, men, we fall in and out of love. Your love could be inverted. It could be one instance where somebody cheated, and that same level of love, whether it was 9.5, will turn into a 9.5 of hate after they caught you cheating on them with their best friend. It's always going to be conditions. If you're not doing what the other person wants, then you they could easily fall out of love with you. We don't want to hear that, but that's real life. That's how it works.
I
Okay.
don't know. I just and I don't know if I'm speaking. I'll speak from, I guess, a limited, in terms of knowing how everybody else operate. But I can truly say beyond a shadow like of a doubt in terms of there is nothing, just like how my kid with my children, there is nothing that my children can do that will make me not love them. And I feel the same way with my husband. There is nothing that he can do that would make me not love him. That doesn't mean consequences aren't going to occur because I love him unconditionally,
Exactly.
right? If he cheats on me, that doesn't mean I'm going to stop loving him. I'm going to be hurt, I'm going to be angry, I may even get a divorce, but that does not mean that my love has changed. I think a lot of times people confuse unconditional love with allowing somebody to just do whatever to you and then you just stay, or you don't, there's no consequences to that. Like, there's nothing that my kids can do that would ever make me stop loving them. There's nothing that my husband could do that would ever make me stop loving them. But that does not mean that I wouldn't draw boundaries. If my kids were cutting up and doing something, I'm going to love them, but you got to go. Like, you can't bring that into my home. I'm going to still love you, but I'm going to love you from a distance.
So, mistaken, what you're saying isn't invalid. However, that's how you love, right? I know people who hate their kids. I know people who hate their parents, right? And it doesn't take very much. Some people hate their daughters just because they were born and they couldn't bust it open no more.
Well, I don't
That's
think they
just what
love
happens.
them then. Right. That's my point. Then
That's what you think.
they love.
Maybe they did at one point, but then they just don't now after they saw what really happens.
I don't think that's love then, because I don't
That's
think
what you think,
right. My
right?
point, well, that's what y'all are talking about in terms of the other side. I think of conditional love is, if you do this, is the if then kind of statement. If you do this, then I'll love you. If you do this, then I don't think that when we're talking about the true essence of what love is, it's not a if then. As long as you keep doing this, then I'm gonna keep loving you. Once you stop, I'm gonna stop loving you. That's not what
But
love is.
that's how
Well,
humans operate,
Because wait, hold
well,
on,
right?
no, because people will always disappoint you. That's just life, because we're not perfect. So people will always disappoint you in some way. So if that's what you base in the way that you love people, then you truly don't love anybody.
so I
But
think
that's
I
your
think
that's your opinion, though. Go ahead, Sweeney.
no, I think what mistaken is describing is unconditional love. What you're describing is love with conditions.
But
But
that's
I
what I was
think,
explaining. That love is conditional.
well, it can be, but there's also a such thing as unconditional love, which is what she described. Now, can most people achieve it? Potentially, no.
No,
But
no.
that doesn't mean that that's not what it is. That's the very definition of unconditional love.
So I'm not saying it doesn't exist, but what if we say, if the question is asked, is love conditional, right? Are you going to say no or yes? You could say it can be, but the fact of the matter is it exists. And if we're going to say, how do most people operate? Then we're going to say, yes, love is conditional. Are there a few people who ride or die, like mistaken, right? And I commend you for that. That's admirable. However,
Well,
most people ain't built like that.
she didn't say that she would ride or die. She said she said that just because you love someone doesn't mean that does not come with consequences. So, for instance, if someone cheats on you, you can still love them but divorce them. That don't mean that
Yeah.
your love for them is any less. It just means that they can no longer be with you.
Well, think of it like this. Have anybody ever done something to you, or have you ever seen somebody do something to the point where you don't even recognize who they are anymore? Like, I've seen so many situations where people like, I don't even recognize my significant other. I don't even know who I'm laying next to. They love the person you were, but the person you become is a totally different person. So maybe that might help. Some people they change into different people that are unrecognizable. And you never loved that person who they changed to, but you've loved the person they were before. So like with Miss Taken example, the man went out cheating and beating her. That's not who she fell in love with, right, Miss Taken? You fell in love with the behavior, the personality, and the character that he was prior to when he went off the rails. So she still has that unconditional love for the guy that she fell in love with. It's just the guy changed into a totally different person. And the love that she had didn't transition with that change, so to speak. You kind of understand that?
I got a
But
question.
isn't that love built off of conditions though? You don't just like I understand with a parent or a child, but like in a relationship, you're not just gonna instantly love this person. You gonna love this person based off the conditions you built with them.
And I also think that, JR, you wanted to say something?
No, I got another question for the panel after you.
Okay, I also think that even them being your child is a condition. If that person wasn't your child and some of the things they did you didn't agree with, would you love them the same way? If they weren't your child, it's not, I mean, that's a condition involved.
The question I have is falling in love today seen as a weakness for women?
Is what?
Is falling in love today seen as a weakness for women?
No.
The women that call other women
yes.
pick-me's, yeah.
And the reason I would say yes is because I think for me, now that I'm much more matured, is that I do think falling in love is a weakness because it insinuates that you don't have control, right? Or you didn't have a choice. It's something that just happened to you, as opposed to you actually making a conscious choice to be with the person. So that's why I say the falling in love kind of takes away the accountability and ownership for the person that you're choosing to be in love with, right?
I read a quote.
So
Yeah.
that's my only caveat to that.
I read a quote the other day, and it said, "Falling in love is like handing someone a loaded gun and hoping that they don't shoot you with it." And I think that that's how a lot of people feel, is that it can be one of the most dangerous things, just as much as other things. And I think that scares people more than anything, because nobody wants to get hurt. But, you know, we got to remember that pain is temporary, and a lot of the things we go through is to make us stronger, not weaker. And
who the hell quoted that?
it was on I found it on Threads. I've been on Threads lately, and I saw it on there.
Oh, you
But,
already
Oh my
know.
God, that is
the-
cynical.
yeah, that's what. But I